Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about a subject near and dear to my heart because I like to trade at times breakouts, but I'm going to be sharing with you a method that I feel is the simplest way to identify breakouts. But before we go into that, let me just first tell you what the conventional definition is of breakouts, okay? A breakout refers to when the price of an asset moves above a resistant area. Now, conversely, a breakdown refers to when the price of an asset moves below a support area. So you see the two basic words here, support and resistance. This is conventional wisdom. This is the way it really defines what a breakout is. It's relying on support and resistance. Now, the only trouble with that is, as I've often said before in my presentations, I really don't believe in support and resistance because they're too subjective. One trader's support is another trader's resistance. And most people are looking at the same area, and oftentimes it either turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy or what they call a fake out breakout. For example, as we look at this chart here, this is an older chart in Lulu, okay? Someone would look at this and say, okay, Steve, there's major resistance here. You can't deny the fact that it can't get through that area. So that's probably major resistance. So a breakout would occur once it trades or closes just above that. So I'm going to wait to buy this when it closes above. I like this stock and I'll wait for it to close above. So you wait and then this happens. Some news comes out and it gaps up above. Now it's way too high for you to buy. In fact, this is where you would probably have wanted to sell it if you were able to have gotten long. So maybe you say, okay, I'm going to just wait for it to come down. Or if you're even a more aggressive type of trader, you would say, you know what, I'm going to short it and I'll make that money I lost by not being long. And then when it comes down low enough, then I'll buy it back and go long. Okay. So maybe you sold short and then look what happens. It continues even higher. Okay. So this is what the trouble is with many times with trading breakouts. And the same thing can happen to the downside. Let's look at this older chart, Moderna, okay, mRNA. It fell out of bed here, so obviously it's breaking down, but then it had a little bounce. Now, let's say you are a pullback trader. Let's say you go to that chat room about pullbacks, and they say, this is not the beginning of a new trend. This is simply a pullback, something that should be viewed upon as selling. And so since you are a breakdown trader, you say to yourself, well, here is the support right here. I'm not going to sell until we close just below that, because then I'll have assurance that it's going to go lower. For it started all the way here and went lower, bounced, and that's bound to go much, much lower, make brand new lows. So you wait, and then ultimately it does close there. So you say, I'm going to sell, right? So now you're all excited. It's probably going to fall out of bed. And then it goes a little bit lower, but by the end of the next 3 weeks, it's actually closing higher, and you have a loss on your hands. So this is the difficulty with trading breakouts and breakdowns using support and resistance. There's really no consistency to that, and it's too subjective. So we ask ourselves, is there a breakout indicator designed to identify these true breakout and breakdown areas? Well, in fact, there is. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, look at this chart here in ILMN, okay? If we ask ourselves that, is there a breakdown area? Well, yes, this tool I'm going to be sharing with you today identified a breakdown sell area right here towards the high. And on top of that, just last month, it identified a breakout buy area. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, the simplest way to identify breakouts. And the beauty of this is that everything is one click away on our platform, the BTS Primo charting platform. This is the educational platform I developed and designed with pro trader strategies that actually identifies these secret breakouts. So this promises to be a great educational presentation today. Thank you once again for attending. My name is Steven Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for 46 years. In just about 3 weeks, it'll turn into 47 years. I can't believe I've been trading that long. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange, and I was on the floor for 16 years. 9 of those years, I was a specialist. Naturally, that's where we get the name Specialist Trading. Specialist is just someone who specialized in making a market, roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So if you wanted to buy or sell a particular equity like IBM, US Air, Waste Management, those were all stocks I made markets in. You, in the old days, would call up your stockbroker. You'd give them the order, let's say, to buy 100 shares of US Air. Your stockbroker would call the floor trader on the phone, and he would take the order down. He would walk over to the specialist who specialized in making a market. walk over to me and say, I have 100 shares of US Air to buy. I'd sell him 100 shares. And then he'd go back and report on the phone that that was your price. This was the way things were done in the old days before electronic trading. So I did that during the crash of 87. I made markets during the crash and the bull market after that. So I've traded just about every market environment you can think of, straight up markets, straight down markets, sideways markets. And on top of that, in my 46 years of trading, I have traded just about every method, system, technique, new strategy. Most likely it's been around before. If you're trading something that you think is brand new, it's just been rebranded. So I know in my 46 years of experience what works in terms of consistency, and I know what doesn't work in terms of consistency. So about 15 years ago, I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies and we formulated specialist trading with our only goal in mind: to educate traders. That's our only goal. We're not here to tell you what we think the market's going to do. We're not here to tell you what we think the best time frame is or what the best system you should be trading. That's for you to decide. We're here to educate you and to provide you with things that have high levels of consistency so that ultimately you can put the power back in your hands. That's what's missing for most traders, and that's why most traders fail. So as you can see, we are first and foremost an educational company, and you'll see that attention to education in today's presentation. Now, before we begin, as always, I always say every week, we are required to share this with you, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this breakout tool, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And since we are first and foremost an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, I see a lot of new names here today. If you haven't done so already, please feel free to follow us on Twitter or X, whatever you'd like to call it. I post about 6 or 7 different examples a day of strategy setups to bits of financial wisdom. So there's lots of great free information that I post on a daily basis. So please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, remember, if you've come here thinking that I'm going to tell you what I think the market's going to do, is it going to go straight up? Is it going to fall out of bed? Is it just going to go sideways? You've come to the wrong place. That I know that's what a lot of other so-called educators do, but a real good mentor doesn't tell you what he thinks the market's going to do. He teaches you these things so that you can identify them on your own. So our philosophy is my goal, not to force feed you signals, but to teach you how to trade with the specialist edge. Now, when I was struggling, my first year on the floor of the stock exchange, I was lucky enough to have some mentors who taught me the same way. Now, I know exactly how many of you may feel, because I used to say, well, why don't you just tell me what you're doing? Why can't I just mimic and piggyback off whatever trades you're doing? And their answer was the same thing I'm telling you, is because one day I won't be here. And what if you're just following me all the time, like someone does in a trading room or a chat room? And then what if they disappear one day? How are you going to trade? You're not going to know how to do it. So basically, I want you to make your own trading decisions. That's what's missing from most traders' trading plans. And in my opinion, that's why most traders fail. You're giving your power away, letting someone make your decisions for you. Well, our goal is for you to make your own decisions. So that's what we do. We teach you how to trade with a specialist's edge. Now, before we begin, this presentation is being recorded. If you have to leave early or if you're having technical issues, many times just log off and log back on again, and your issues will be resolved. But if they're still having issues, don't worry. Each and every one of you will get a link to this recording today, okay? On top of that, if you have any questions, please wait till the end. I don't like to stop at every slide. I think I have about 130 slides to share with you today. I don't like to stop at every slide or it'll take too long to give you the presentation. So if you have any questions, please wait till the end. I promise I'll get to them at the very end, okay? All right, with that stated, let's begin today's educational presentation. Remember, we're talking about breakouts, and we go back to the question we originally asked at the beginning of the presentation. What if there was a breakout indicator designed to identify true breakdown areas? Well, there is, and we have it. It's called the PSBI, and that's initials for Primo Secret Breakout Indicator. Now, it isn't really secret. In other words, it's not something that no one has ever heard of before. It's something we've developed and turned into a proprietary tool. So let me share with you some of the highlights. Now, it's based on a concept that we call everyone out of the pool. This is a concept I was first taught some 4 decades ago, over 4 decades ago on the floor. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about it later on. And I described it a little bit in my book, Secrets of a Stock Exchange Specialist, where it's basically if all of the sellers are out of the pool, that makes it right for a breakout to the upside. And if all of the buyers are out of the pool, that makes it right for a breakdown. Now, this is designed, once again, to identify these true breakout and breakdown areas. They're not based on support and resistance or any of the conventional means that most people think of when they think of breakouts. Once again, it is a proprietary indicator. We keep the rules in-house, but you can apply it to any market and any direction. So it doesn't matter if you trade multiple markets or if you like to trade different time frames or if you like to trade different directions, you can use this for all of them all together. You don't have to switch and change tools for another market. Now, it can be used as an exit or a stop and reverse tool as well. I'll show you some examples of that. In other words, if you're long and you've been long off of a breakout setup, and then the market goes straight up, and then all of a sudden, this gives a true breakdown sell area. Well, you can use that as an exit. A lot of traders I know don't like to go short, so you can use it as an exit, or you can use it as a stop and reverse. It's up to you, but we'll show you some examples of that. All right, so let me share with you the trading process, and it's extremely, extremely simple. Why? Because we made it that way. Remember, if you were trying to follow this using all of the formula involved in this, it would be too difficult for you to trade because it's just too cumbersome to try and keep track of it and then know exactly when you have to enter your orders. That's why we're keeping this a proprietary tool, keeping it in-house so that you can just focus on the trading process. All right, so let's look at those older charts. Here's the one in Lulu that we looked at earlier. Remember, we had the basic resistance here for our breakout, and we missed it entirely. So how could the PSBI have actually gotten us into this trade? Well, let me show you how simple the process is. If a market has been going down, regardless of time frame, regardless of what the market is, therefore, you're looking for a breakout to the upside. So what this would mean is that you would click on the PSBI right here on our platform, and you can only find the PSBI on our platform. Once you click it on, you'd see a little drop-down menu. So you're looking for buys. You click on the buy area right here. And if there is a breakout being set up, it will create this kind of a turquoise or kind of a greenish box. How does this work? Well, the basic entry is when price trades outside of that box. It doesn't have to close there. All it has to do is trade above, and we give you the actual number of where it has to trade above right here. In this case, it was 297.54. So if it trades at 297.55, that's your setup to go long. You can actually just buy at the market, or you could try and finesse it and place a limit lower, or you could just have a stop order in there. It's up to you. Remember, you're in charge. We're not trading for you. This is not a system. We want you to decide. But had you used the PSBI as your entry point, well, you would have entered well in advance of this so-called breakout using resistance. And you could have taken advantage of this and all of these profits if you wanted to. So you see how the PSBI is really giving you the true breakout area. Now, let's look at that other chart, Moderna. Remember, this was coming straight down. You thought this was just a bounce before it was going to go lower. And you were right, but kind of too late. It really did go much lower. And then by the end of the next 2 or 3 weeks, it was actually closing higher. You had a loss. So at this point, if you thought that was an actual sell, all you had to do was click on the PSBI, click on sell area, and now it does the exact same thing, but with a kind of a reddish magenta box. So what this is telling you is that this is the secret breakdown area. And once it trades outside of that, below the 152.249 level, that's your setup entry to go short or to exit if you were long, okay? Now, it doesn't have to close below this line. All it has to do is trade there. Now, I know a lot of traders will say, well, Steve, it went below, but look, it closed back up and then it went even higher. Well, that's okay, because look what happened 3 or 4 days later. You could have taken advantage of all this. Originally, using support, you would have gotten in here and not having had that much of a winning trade. But do you think it would have been much better to enter to go short right here on a breakdown? So this is how the PSBI can help you. It identifies these true breakout and breakdown areas. All right, so let's look at some more recent PSBI examples. And remember, you'll only find the PSBI on the PTS Primo charting platform. We made it simple. Everything's one click away. using the platform and the PSBI. So you'll see everything right there. All right, here's a chart in Google just about a month or so ago. Obviously, Google was going lower, right? It broke down, gapped down. So you're saying to yourself, wow, okay, well, maybe I should buy it if it's going to break out. But, that guy in that chat room says it's really going lower. Probably some bad news here. I should get out. Well, click on PSBI. In this case, click on buy area because maybe they're wrong. And look what happened. There was a PSBI breakout entry right here, roughly about 126.56. Could have gone long where everyone in the chat room was saying it's going to go lower and taking advantage of a quick 10 points coming into December. Okay, not a bad little trade. Here's another example, an MAR, Marriott. Okay, using conventional wisdom, using trend lines, obviously we have a breakout here, right? Broke the resistance to the downside. So we have a breakout here. This is where most traders would say, hey, Steve, we closed above that line. I was always taught using these downtrend lines, that's a good sign you go long now. Okay, so what happens if you've gone long? How would that have worked out? Not too well, right? This is why conventional ways to trade breakouts, either by support and resistance or trend lines, really has no level of consistency. Take it from someone who was trying this some 4 decades ago. It really doesn't work that well. But if you use the PSBI, guess what? You would have waited all the way till we got here and seen that there was a breakout entry and taken advantage of 17 points straight up coming into this month. How about KNSL? All right. Using conventional standard of breakouts, okay, we broke out above. Now it's working. You say to yourself, hey, Steve, well, look, we broke out above that top, and it actually is doing very well. But then look what happened on the next day. Some news or something happened. Obviously, now it's no longer breaking out. It's broken down, right? So now, maybe once again in that chat room or that trading room, they're telling you, no, it's going to go much lower. So if you were long on that breakout, exit altogether. And if you're more aggressive, you maybe want to go short. So you go short, and look what happens. It goes all the way back up, right? So now you not only lost being long, but now you lost being short. And you say to yourself, that's it. I can't trade these breakouts or breakdowns because there's no consistency to them. Well, maybe not using conventional standards, but if you use the PSBI, we've been going up. So if you're going up, you're looking for a breakdown. Click on PSBI, click on sell area. And guess what? For 3 days, we've been in the secret breakdown area. But this doesn't mean to go short yet or to sell. It simply says that we are in a negative area if we trade below this line. I think it says 359.98. That's your signal to go short or to exit if you happen to be long. Well, look what happened the next day. Went straight down, and that was your breakdown entry right here. Coming into December, 22 points in the next 3 days, okay? Now, before you would have been whipsawed back and forth. Here, you just could have gotten short and potentially captured 22 points. Let's look at Apple. All right, Apple's been coming lower. And here we have the PSBI breakout entry right here. This was on the 1st of November. Now, on the 1st of November, I gave a buy signal, 20 points coming into December. And I believe it's even higher than that now. It went straight up. All right, so this is the beauty of the PSBI. It tells you where to enter. And I'll tell you some extra bonuses coming up in just a bit. Now, for example, we have the trend line up here right now. Obviously, it broke down off some bad news, something, but now you're saying to yourself, wow, and that gap down, it hasn't really bounced yet. I'm going to go short. But if you're using the PSBI, you would have seen that it was actually generating a breakout setup. But we can't go long once it trades above this 203.57. It did on the very next bar, so you would have gotten long if you decided to do so. 20 points in the next 3 or 4 days. Okay, what happened to the breakdown on the bad news or whatever happened here? Okay, REGN. All right, Regeneron. Here was a breakdown entry right here when it traded below, not when it closed below. It doesn't have to close. All it has to do is trade there. Breakdown entry. And what if I told you you could exit right here with a nice profit? All right, this is an extra bonus that I'll be telling you about in just a few minutes, but this is also included with the PSBI. It has price projections. All right, so let's say you would use that price projection as an exit point. Well, you could have made a nice 40 points in the next month, and look what happened. Went right there and then stopped and went right back up. okay? This is also included, and you'll only find it on the PTS Primo charting platform. Now, this is not meant to be used always as an exit level. Many times you just use it as a point of reference. For example, here was a breakout entry point in Workday, okay? This was just about a month ago. Now, right here was that price projection. Using that, you could have said to yourself, well, okay, I'll take a quick 25 points. But it also went up even higher after that. You could have captured a total of 60 points. So I'll explain to you in just a few minutes how this extra bonus works. Here's an example in AMD, all right? Last month, a breakout entry was generated right here around 97.35, 97.36, 28 points coming into December, okay? Here's an example in an entirely different market and an entirely different time frame. This is in the 4-hour Swiss franc, okay? Because you can use this regardless of what market or time frame. Same thing applies, the same rules apply, makes no difference. We had our breakdown, secret breakdown area right here. We traded just below. That was our breakdown entry. And look what happened in the next couple of weeks. 330 pips, or roughly about over $3,000 per unit coming into December, okay? So it makes no difference what market we're looking at or what time frame. How about LRCX? All right. Now, most people would say, well, Steve, here's the breakout area right here, right? I'm not gonna buy this till it breaks out because it looks like we're in a downtrend. Look at higher, or I should say lower highs, lower lows. So I want confirmation that I break out above this last, okay? Well, that's conventional wisdom talking to you, telling you this is the way breakouts should be. But remember, there's usually no consistency in trading breakouts that way. Better to use the PSBI, because look what happened after that. Sure, it did go up, but you would have gotten in over halfway up. How about if you could have gotten in somewhere around here? Well, using the PSBI, click on buy area, you would have found that there was a buy entry right here, right towards the lows at the beginning of the last month in November, and you could have potentially captured 125 points. So much better than waiting for it to close above here, right here, right? Now remember that chart we started out with telling you in the beginning, how is there an indicator that can identify these areas? Remember, we had said that there was a breakdown sell here and a breakout buy here. Well, let me show you how simple it would have been. Click on PSBI, and you would have seen that they're auto-generated, and they're not any different from when they were initially cast. This is where the breakdown area was to sell. And this is where the breakout area was to buy. This was just coming in just about a couple of weeks ago in the buy signal. Now, I told you as an extra bonus, we have price projections, okay? These are included once you become a student of the PSBI course, okay? Let me share with you how they work, because a lot of students have difficulty. They say, well, Steve, does that mean that's where I exit? If you're projecting that price is going to get there, shouldn't I exit? Well, not necessarily. See, these are projections of where price should be, somewhere around there, but it doesn't mean it's going to stop there and that it's a perfect sell signal or a perfect buy signal to cover. It just means that most likely it should get there. What a lot of our students like to do is, if they're trading multiple lots, let's say a couple of hundred shares, they'll use the price projection area to sell half their position and let the rest ride. Let me show you what I mean here. Okay, here was a buy entry in AVGO, all right, Broadcom. This was in October. Now, let's say you didn't have any idea where to get out and you were kind of wondering like, okay, you like this, but you're not sure where you should exit. This happens to a lot of students I teach and mentor. They say, Steve, I never know where to get out. And usually I get out too early. Well, all you have to do on our platform is click on PSBI. Now in the drop-down menu, instead of buy area, what we're looking now for is the buy price projection right here, just below it, buy PP. And you'll see a line appear. This is just telling you, it's an indication, a benchmark of saying, most likely using a proprietary formula, where price should go, okay, on average. Doesn't mean it's going to stop there. And it doesn't mean that it's some magical number that it gets right there and stops. Oftentimes you'll see it does do that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. Sometimes it can get just above, below it, sometimes just above it, but it'll get somewhere around this area, okay? Now, as we see the trade unfold, look what happened. It got right there and stopped. Isn't that amazing how it just got right to the price projection? And you could have taken a quick 85 points if you like. But someone who was in for the long haul would have said, well, you know what? I'm not going to sell yet. Now, it may have scared you a little bit because look what happened. It got right there and then went lower, but you're still not stopped out. And then eventually, in another month, you could have potentially captured 160. So what a lot of our students like to do is sell a portion of their position and then hold on and see if they can ride out for a larger profit later on. Here's an example in BIIB, Biogen. This is a PSBI breakdown entry, right? And you say to yourself, well, gosh, okay, maybe I went short, maybe I bought the puts, but I don't really know where to get out or where to have a benchmark of where I should start thinking about getting out. So click on PSBI. In the drop-down menu, click on Sell PP, that's Sell Price Projection, and you'll see a line appear. All right. Now, these are all different with each setup. It's not going to be the same formula where it's 2 points away or so much of a percentage. It doesn't work on that. But you'll see here that that's telling you that there's a pretty good idea that we're going to get somewhere in this area. You know, could come right down here just above it, could come down here below it, or it could keep going. But most likely it's going to come down to these levels. So let's say if you were long 2 puts, all right? Well, we could have got there and you covered, all right? You covered one of them and potentially made 20 points, okay? Now, after you covered, look what happened. Isn't it amazing how it gets to this price projection level and then starts to bounce? But if you still were holding on to one put or one means of shorting, you could have potentially captured 35 points with the second lot. So that's how this works. It's there to help you. It's more of a benchmark. It's more to help you so you can understand where to get out and make your own decision. Remember, our whole philosophy is to help you make your own decisions, not to make them for you. For example, if you're trading the British pound, a breakout entry was here generated just before November. You have a nice little profit here. And had you used the price projection, guess what? You could have exited right there with a 250 pip gain. That's not a bad little trade, right? Now, if you use that to exit a portion of your position, well, that was a nice idea because look, we came all the way back down. But had you held on with the second portion, you could have potentially captured 570 pips coming into December. So this is why this can really help you. Now, some of our students say, you know, Steve, I don't really need the price projection. I have my own method, or I use one of your other 5 or 6 different methods for exiting. That's great. You know, remember, you're in charge, not us. This is just one more tool to help you decide. Okay, let's review what we shared with you today. Now, some of the highlights of this. It's an everyone out of the pool concept. Remember, it's not based on identifying these breakouts because of support resistance or trend lines being broken. It's based on a unique formula that finds out if all of the buyers or the majority of the buyers are out, or if the majority of the sellers are out. All right. Now, we've formulated this into a proprietary indicator. And you can apply this to any market in any direction. You can also apply it to be used as an exit level or stop and reverse. So there's lots of ways to use this. In fact, I teach you different entries and different exits in the course. So ask yourself, do you think the new PSBI can help your trading for the remainder of 2023? And when I say remainder, we're only talking about 3 more weeks. So look at the examples I just gave you that just recently happened, okay? I really think it can help you. We've been getting rave reviews from our students who took the PSBI course. This is a relatively new tool. And so come on board and be one of those students who really, really likes the new PSBI tool. Now, we have a great special attendee offer for all of you taking time out of your Wednesday to come hear me speak today. We're going to offer you our new PSBI tool, the non-conventional breakout tool that generates many setups. Here's one of the things about this tool. It generates a lot of setups. You can apply to both breakouts to the upside and breakdowns to the downside. Remember, any market and any time frame. There's so many other so-called educators that have strategies or systems that work great in a specific market and a specific time frame. But if you want to apply them to another market, another time frame, well, then you have to alter things or change them around. You don't have to do that with the PSBI. You keep the same rules. It works with any market, any time frame. You can also apply it as a stop loss method, as we said as well. A special bonus, we're going to include the price projection points, okay? On top of that, you can scan for daily setups. This is the beauty of this as well. You can scan and see where these setups are for the next day. So you can know where you want to enter, and then you can click on the price projection points to see where most likely price will go. For example, everything you've just seen was displayed coming from the PTS Primo charting platform. So if you saw how simple it is to generate these setups and how simple it is to see how to trade it, therefore, we're going to throw in this extra bonus. If you decide to become a student in the immediate future, taking this great offer, we're going to throw in a full year free of the PTS Primo charting platform. You're going to save over $1,700 because that's how much a full year would normally cost. Now, a lot of people will say, well, is that all that's on the platform, just the PSBI? No, there are a host of other tools and techniques that I've accumulated in my 46 years. Most of these tools and tips come from the floor. Most of them you've never seen before. You won't find them on other platforms because they're the things that were taught to be by my mentors and traders on the floor. For example, this is just the tip of the iceberg, but on top of getting the secret breakout indicator, you'll also get the scanner, the price projection. You'll get our enhanced buy sell line. This is a way for finding out what the overall trend is in any market. A strength of trend tool telling you if there's still strength in a trend or if it's running out of steam. Auto-generated exit levels. These are separate and different from the price projections. This is just one of our different ways in which to exit. And as I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I can't go into detail of all the different tools and techniques that are offered that you won't find anywhere else on our platform. And this all comes with personalized tech support. Now, if you're still not convinced how powerful this tool is, I want you to look at this chart here, the spiders. This is the ETF that represents the S&P 500. This is the chart coming into November, all right? Now, if you had looked at this and said, wow, I don't know what to do. The market has been acting very negative lately, but I guess if it's acting negative, that's where we look for breakout. So it would be as simple as just, once again, clicking on the PSBI, clicking on the buy area, and you would have seen that coming into November, it was generating an entry setup. But once again, using the standard entry point, we weren't long yet. It has to trade above this area, which was 424.82, and it hadn't done so yet. So we're still waiting. And now, if we were thinking about, well, am I sure I want to get into this? Let me see what the price projections are. Once again, click on PSBI, and this time click on Buy Price Projection. So it was projecting that most likely we should have a pretty big move up to here. So you say to yourself, you know what? I like that bet. I think I'll take it. So if we trade above there, I think I'll go along the spiders. Or maybe you could just use it as a market directional tool and say to yourself, well, listen, if the spiders, which represents the S&P 500, is going to go up, most likely the market's going to go up, and I'll buy that stock I like that mirrors the market. So you don't necessarily have to trade the spiders. It can be a market directional tool. So let's see what happened. Well, the next day, it actually gapped up above the breakout area. So you would have gone long on the opening. And we all know what's happened in the month of November coming into December. It's gotten right there. Now, at this point right here, this is where you would have exited had you chosen to do so. Now, remember, it does not state that this is where it's going to come to and then roll over. It just says that price most likely will get to this area. It could stop and go much, much higher, or it could roll over and go lower. We don't know. But had you done that, you would have made a nice 32-point gain in just about a month in the spiders. Now, had you not traded the spiders and just used it as a market directional tool, well, guess what? That 3,200 points transferred over into over 2,200 Dow Jones points. So you see how powerful this tool is. You don't have to actually use it to trade. You can use it as a market directional tool. But if you did want to use it to trade, well, let me show you something that just happened this past week. Now, if you look at BTI here, BTI has been in the news. Remember, we don't follow any news. None of our techniques, strategies, or indicators are based on fundamental news. They're all based on market behavior. Now, this stock had been steadily going up. It was making higher highs, higher lows. But if you clicked on the PSBI, you would have seen that for a sell area, since this was going up, a breakdown entry was generated roughly about 3 days ago, okay, at 31.74. So you would have gotten short at 31.73. Let's say you were long this stock. Well, you could have used it as a stop placement and said, okay, we traded below. Now I'm exiting. I'm getting out. And you would have exited and said, okay, I've got a nice profit. Time to get out. And that would have been a wise decision because we can see what happened today. The stock fell out of bed. And had you not sold, you would have been holding on to that losing position. And remember, it's probably down on some fundamental news. I don't know. I don't look at fundamental news. I stopped looking at news 4 decades ago. So I have no idea. All I need to know is that the PSBI generated a breakdown area 3 days ago. So why would I care? This was well in advance of the news. If I relied on news and woke up this morning and found out that it had gapped down like that, well, guess what? I say to myself, well, I guess I'm just going to take this loss and now I have to buy more. Or if you were wanting to short it, you would have said, well, I missed it, so I guess I'll look for another one. This is the beauty of the PSBI. Many times it'll get you in before a news event. So this just happened this past week. Trust me, a year from today, you will have wished you became a member of the PSBI course. We're getting rave reviews from our students. There are a number of ways in which to apply it. We teach it in the course, and I'm sure you're going to be very happy with it. We'll be there with you every step of the way while you're learning how to trade with it. Okay, so let's talk about this great offer, okay? Introducing our new PSBI. This is our secret breakout indicator offer. And I normally, because the PSBI is such a great tool, because it's very popular, the price is roughly $49.95. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to discount and cut that and discount of $500 down to $44.95. But on top of that, we're going to offer payment plans. So we realize $44.95 is still way too much for some people to come up with. So for a fraction of that, a small portion of the $44.95, you can still be up and running. You don't have to put up the entire amount and just establish a payment plan. Now, if you decide to go with a payment plan, or if you decide to pay in full, remember, these payment plans are available for a limited time. It doesn't matter. Either way you decide to go, you're still going to get a full year free of the platform. So this is a great, great offer, whether you want to pay in full or for a fraction of the price, just put down a small one-time payment and then just pay monthly. You'll still get a 12 months free of the platform. All right, here's how to take advantage of that. Contact my sister site, which is Pro Trader Strategies. I developed the platform with them. They're also in charge of all the discounts and all of the payment plans. You can call them directly at 310-598-6677. They have trading consultants using the phones right now. They'd be happy to give you a quote for a payment plan. There's absolutely no obligation at all, so don't feel uncomfortable calling. They're not going to try and sell you something if you just want to get more information. Now, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the info page as well as the sign-up page if you'd like to sign up online. It's not a live link, but we just posted a live link in the chat box. So if you'd like to go there, you can click that on and we'll automatically take you and open up a page for you, okay? Now I'm going to leave this information up here. If you have any questions, please go to your chat box or your question and answer box, type them in right now, and I will be happy to answer them. Someone's asking, can you use this on E-mini futures? Yes, you can. I use it on E-mini futures. That's my market of choice, and it makes no difference. I didn't have any examples today, but I like to trade intraday futures. So it makes no difference. You can also use it on daily futures. It makes no difference, okay? You can also use it. We have some students that use these on commodities. In my opinion, they work fantastic with commodities because these commodities oftentimes have these big breakouts to the upside and downside using the PSBI. And so they work really, really well using them. So it doesn't matter what market or what time frame, okay? Another question, what if I have trouble, or what if I've never traded before? I just started. That's okay. One of the best things we do is we offer you educational correspondence, so we just don't throw you to the wolves. Every student of mine, no matter what course, gets my private email address. You can contact me whenever you like, and I will get back to you as soon as possible and answer any question you may have. It's the best thing we say, always say that next to me sitting next to you, okay? So even if you'd like to send me an email on the weekend or before the opening or after the close, it makes absolutely no difference. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, all right? So remember, we're there with you every step of the way. Like this attendee said, if you haven't been trading that long, don't worry about it. Everyone, regardless, gets the same information. If you've been trading for 50 years or if you've been trading for 50 days, makes no difference. You all get the same basic information, and we teach you from the beginning going forward, okay? Okay, any more questions? Good question. Remember, if you're at all interested, don't feel obligated that you have to make a decision today. Just contact Pro Trader Strategies, 598-6677. They would be happy to give you a quote or answer any other of your questions concerning discounts or even the PTS Primo charting platform about the data applied and all the things you can use with that, okay? Now, as we close, I just want to say thank you so much for attending, and we take one last look at our disclaimer. I hope you saw how powerful and how simple it is to use the new PSBI tool. So please, I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in this course. Thank you so much for attending today. I wish you all the best of luck, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.